Chief O'Brien gets Keiko pregnant in one shot. Major Kira plays with clay, but pretty much sucks at it. And Akaram Lon gives Captain Sisko Umox. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the 7th Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and I'm not above using visuals to make a joke. It's not a great visual, but it's kind of a dark image, but whatever. Today we are doing a review of Deep Space Nine Season 4, Accession, directed by Mr. Les Landau, who lives in Deep Space Nine infamy. Every time I read Les Landau, I go, ooh, I can't wait to mention it to Cirroc. It's like I'm like a kid. Written by Jane Espension. I'd never heard of her, but more on that in a moment. Turns out she's done quite well for herself since then.
Okay.
How you doing, Cirroc?
I'm doing good. It's funny you mentioned that you took that backdrop with the new Emissary kind of ear cup in the old Emissary, or the real Emissary. But there was a moment there in this exact scene, in this exact moment, where Les Landau decided to do a close-up from the other end, from the opposite side of this picture, which is a close-up on his fingers behind his ear. And
just kind of going like this.
Yeah, and it looked kind of like, hey, that's a little bit weird right there.
That's the Emissary, buddy. Back off.
It was too soft and too tickly. I thought if you're just going to grab somebody's ear, you kind of grab it with a little bit of, But if you start being tender with that ear, then it becomes a little bit of something else.
Yeah, that's a little tenderoni is what that was. Am I right, Bobby?
Oh, wow. Wow. Here we go.
I know. We get right into it. So, yeah, that was definitely Umox.
Umox,
that was
okay.
Not searching for Pa. That was Umox is what was happening there.
Yeah.
Here, let me. And there's nothing wrong with that. Umox is awesome apparently, but the thing is the person has to be a willing Umox recipient.
Right.
Right. Like you can't just be like, oh, let me check your paw.
Well, if that was a Ferengi, they would literally be married.
Officially. That's a better one.
There it is.
So we got a lot to talk about in this one. This was surprisingly interesting for me, as in more so than I expected. By the way, I just want to say, Cirroc, that usually the night before we're going to record, and I'm kind of planning out what's my day like tomorrow. And, there's a lot of stress going on outside in the world, and everybody's fighting each other, and everybody hates each other and stuff. But I swear, it's like when I'm like, oh, tomorrow I get to record with my buddy. It's like, it's all of a sudden like I'm like looking forward to the day, and it's a good day, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to record with my buddy Cirroc. He's going to laugh at my dumb jokes, or even better, shake his head. But anyway, thanks for making my weekly recordings with you so enjoyable. It's been a great time.
It is. It's been super fun. It's really easy, ladies and gentlemen, even though the hard part is just doing the research and studying up and sometimes watching the episode. But the fun part is
sometimes,
But the easy part is definitely showing up with you. And when Aron was around, just the three of us, it was just so much fun. I look forward to it each time, and I still do. So thanks for just being a good partner, Ryan.
Right. Thank you. And bringing up Aron, also one last thing is that's another thing is once a week we have an excuse to think about and talk about our buddy Aron, which is also a great. Anyway, it's just a great thing. And people are like, when are you going to talk about Star Trek? Whatever. We like hanging out with each other sometimes too. Like just talking about. Wait till
the basketball show comes on the sports show.
I know. So. Anyway, lots to talk about here. I do want to give a quick shout out to your sister, Merone, who runs Abyssinian Kiosk. By the way, this awesome shirt, that is the Sisko Kid design. You can get it in different colors, different flavors. I recommend the Brie flavor. and different sizes, of course. Actually, let's do a quick thing. Here's her shop. There it is. You can see that, right? So here's the design up here. The newest design is kind of a variant on the Sisko Kid. It's Sisko Kid 2. Probably my favorite. You've got a few of their shirts, of her shirts, right? This is my favorite of yours. That one is just so cool.
Yeah, I love that shirt. I actually love this shirt too. This is one of my favorites.
No way. Well, did we already pass that up here?
No, it's on another page here, but
okay. Anyway, we're scrolling through super fast, guys, but definitely go to Abyssinian Kiosk. It is it's in the description box of every single one of our videos, so definitely just scroll down in the description box, find the thing that says Merone's website, Abyssinian Kiosk. Buy something cool. You're supporting someone awesome, and it's really good art. I freaking love it. Oh, wait, let's see your shirt now real quick, Cirroc.
Oh, yeah, I got this one. This is the Ethiopian cross with the colors. I love that.
Yeah. You know, the way you said Ethiopian just that one time reminded me of that movie History of the World Part 1 where he says, and that's the Ethiopian, a shim sham. Gregory Hines. I don't know if you remember that. Anyway.
Oh, no, I do not remember that. The Ethiopian shim sham.
Half the people watching this know exactly what I'm talking about. And the other half are like, can you guys just talk about Star Trek, please?
What about this episode already, guys?
All right. Anyway, check it out, guys. And we hear you. Let's talk about Bajoran politics, because I know that's what everybody loves about Star Trek.
Don't sound so excited, Ryan. It's this was actually a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few things that I thought that I made note of while I was watching the episode, but I just thought it's a good concept of I thought the name was a wrong title. I don't think the name.
I was literally just thinking that when I was looking at it. Yeah, that's a good point. What do you think would be a better name for a better title?
The Tale of Two Emissaries or something.
You
know,
that is good.
Something like that, where it was like, whoa. I just felt like Accession wasn't enough. It didn't jump out at me enough. I also was watching this episode thinking about how this could have also been written as a Q episode.
Interesting.
I thought that Q could have played this role of the other emissary.
Oh, like just a ruse of his.
Just to throw a whole like. And then right at the end, just come out and say, I was just toying with you and I wanted to see if you wanted to be it or not. And I thought that would have been another kind of clever little twist that they could have added to this episode. It could have been a Q episode, kind of a less of a traditional Q because he doesn't reveal himself until the end.
Right.
And normally he likes to play games with you while you know that he's playing games with you. Right.
Yeah. He does love that.
So, those were my thoughts.
It's interesting. At the end of the episode, I actually was thinking something similar in that what could we have done with this episode? And I realized that the Kira storyline didn't really get any resolution. Like she starts to play with this clay, and I know we're jumping ahead here. She starts to play with this clay. She has her ghost moment, but alone. And she sucks at it. She's terrible. She can't do a bird. And Odo should have been like, oh, I could show you how to make a bird. I do it all the time or whatever. But I was thinking there was no resolution. And this could have been a 2-part episode in that the second part of that could have been Kira actually going back to Bajor and trying to get back to her ancient roots of being a potter or whatever, and because she goes, that only gets introduced towards the end of the episode. And then I think she actually like resigns and says, hey, I'm leaving. You're going to have to find a replacement. But then the emissary is revealed to not really be the guy. And then everything's fine. But it would have been interesting. I don't think it would be good enough to be a 2-parter, but it would have been really cool anyway, just to have an episode where Kira goes back and tries to live this new life with the Dajara, ruling everything.
Yeah, I actually thought something different. I thought that she was too willing to capitulate to the whole idea of just going back to this caste system.
Totally.
And I thought that she has already proven herself to be such an independent thinker and such a rebellious person that the last thing she does is going to conform so easily.
Exactly.
She would be the resistance. She would lead the resistance, and maybe even play the role of like forcing Sisko to take that position back. Like like I thought she was just like, all right, I'm going to leave, got to go and make some clay pigeons, and
Oh man.
It's like, how you're the biggest fighter in the world. You fight everything and everybody. You won't let anybody get away with anything. And for me, I thought she could have put up a bigger fight and maybe led a resistance, or maybe even try to come up with an assassination plot to get rid of the fake emissary. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There were other ways I thought they could have went in that direction. She was way too quick to just like give up.
Right. Yeah, you're right. She kind of flipped, but they do explain it in a way when she says, she says something to the effect of, that's the point of faith. It doesn't always have to make sense. It doesn't have to follow. And that's true. And that's what drives people that don't believe in faith or religion. That's what drives them crazy when they're like, look at this fact and look at this information. And the other person's like, well, I just have faith or something like that. But then on the other side, the person that has faith, they're saying the same thing Kira's saying, which is like, they're like, look, none of that matters. If you have faith, that's what it is. It's in the face of all these other things. So that was an interesting thing that they brought up. I still agree with you that her faith is very strong, like all Bajorans, but so is her will. Her will is also very strong, and she's an independent thinker. She's a fighter, and she wouldn't go down, without a fight so easily.
And my exact evidence of this is how hard she challenged Kai Opaka, right?
No, Kai Wynn, right?
Kai Wynn, I mean, right?
Right.
She went toe to toe with her. Now, if her fate was so overwhelming in her life that she would bow down to it, then she wouldn't question. She wouldn't question the Kai. She would just bow down, accept that she was subservient to her or whatever, and she knew more than she did. But she questioned and challenged her and stood toe to toe with her, and sometimes said, "I'm gonna, I got my eye on you." To me, that shows me somebody who uses their faith to justify their actions, not to change their actions because of their faith.
Right. And it's cool that you brought up Kai Opaka, actually, because she was in this episode. They brought her back. She's one of those rare characters where we say, hey, whatever happened to whomever? Oh, she died. Okay, last we're ever going to see of her. But as we know, in Star Trek and sci-fi, just because someone dies doesn't mean you won't see them again. So that was good to see Kai Opaka again.
Yeah.
I did also want to mention at the top, I forgot to mention this, I feel like this episode now has the record for the most NAMs, the most non-appearance mentions in one episode. I counted 5 NAMs. And I know some of them were super quick and under their breath, so I want to see if you can name 3 of them.
3 NAMs. Whoa. I know that I got a NAM. I know that there was a NAM for Jake because I gave Molly a book that she likes.
Yep. I'd be shocked if you didn't catch that one, because he did say it under his breath. Chief O'Brien says, oh, Molly really loves that book Jake gave her. She had me read it 3 times before she goes to bed. And I thought that was actually good character development for you. It shows that you are, kind of championing reading and writing in children. And, you're really kind of taking this to heart, the whole writing aspect.
Yeah, I thought that was a good little NAM, actually. I agree with that because it ties into Jake as a writer, but it also means that, like, I don't know, when I was a kid, there was you were just in a kid group, and that kid group always extended all the way down and all the way up. So essentially, if somebody was 4 or 5, they may not have hung out directly with you, but they were still in the group of the kid. And
Right.
and to me, this is like Jake's, even though he's older and
Yeah.
and you know,
You guys
Molly
are part of that giant, expansive
yeah,
kid group. Well, really, there's only like 11 of you in the whole station
right,
anyway. So,
right, and just the fact that Jake would be considerate enough to say, "Hey, this is a book that I think Molly would like. Let me give it to her." I thought that was just a small little great character kind of development, character building. Nam,
yeah, I
so that
liked it.
was good.
And it took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it.
But the other ones you're going to have to help me with because I literally.
Well, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
the best Nams of all, we got a Nog Nam.
Nam.
When Quark was talking, he says, "When my nephew Nog was a baby, cutest thing you ever saw. You know, babies. Everything they pick up goes straight into their ears."
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so that was fun. Him remembering Nog and his ear games.
Everything went in his ears.
Then there was also First Minister Shakar. They mentioned him again. A lot of people thought that Shakar was in more than just 3 episodes, but this is why. It's because they keep mentioning him. They mentioned Shakar a bunch of times, and so it feels like he's in more than just the 3 episodes. They also mentioned Kai Wynn when they were talking about how she agreed with this Akaram guy, and they're like, of course, Kai Wynn agrees. But here's the technicality, Nam, was when, and it's Molly O'Brien that says the Nam. She says, "I have a brother." So yes, that's Kira Yoshi, her brother, who gets a Nam because we didn't technically see him.
And he wasn't born yet, technically.
Yeah,
right?
he's 2 months old in that womb. So, but it is a non-appearance mention. We don't see him, and he is mentioned.
That's creative. That is true, though. It actually does count.
That's his first mention.
Non-appearance mention.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I thought that was fun. I was like, wow, that's a lot of Nams in one episode.
That's 4, though, right?
5. Jake, Nog, Shakar, Wynn, and Kira Yoshi.
Okay.
Technically, Kira Yoshi.
Yeah, I'll give you that, actually. That was... I picked up on that. I just didn't consider it in my head because of it's a character I've never seen before, right? So it's like...
A never appearance mention. Not yet appeared mention.
Not yet appeared mention.
Yeah. So here's something I also wanted to ask you about, because we got one of our favorite things again, and that is the old Star Trek rule, which is when they're comparing someone to something, and they say, "Oh, it was Bashir talking about Morn playing darts," and he says, he couldn't hit Uridian yak from 5 paces away, right? Ha ha ha. And it's that thing that Star Trek always does, which is a 2 or 3 syllables finished with an IAN, Uridian, and then something familiar to us. A Uridian yak, an Altarian beetle, whateverian horn rat. And I'm like, we got to have a name for this. What is that called? Because that is definitely something that happens in every single episode. So we'll leave that to the people watching and commenting. What should we call that? What is that Star Trek rule of IAN and then something familiar? Anyway.
That's a good one.
Because I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, give me some time. It'll come to me. It's coming already.
Nice.
It's already coming.
Nice. You're thinking just like a denobulan swallow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Did O'Brien say he was going to try for twins in this episode?
Yes. He tells Keiko, he's like, "You want to try for twins?" And she's like, "I don't think that's how it works. Go play with your friend, idiot."
That was one of the corniest, but like funniest lines. I had to write it down. I was like, did he really say that?
It works for cats and surely other animals. That's why cats come out in all these different styles and colors, and why there's a runt. You know, the runt is like the latest one that was, you know, fertilized or whatever.
Okay.
That's why they have all the different colors. But I don't think it works in humans in any way at all.
Were you watching this episode thinking to yourself, will the real emissary please stand up?
No, but now I'm ashamed that I didn't.
Okay. That's I was just waiting for Eminem to pop through and have a little background music.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty good. No, when I'm watching it, I just lose myself in the moment.
You gotta lose yourself in the music. You own it. Never let it go.
Go. So that's that. Shout out to Eminem. Maybe our last ever. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe our last.
Yeah. So we have a couple minutes before we have to take our break, but I do want to mention and talk about this Dejara thing. It did remind me of, what was it, Dejarum? It's like a brand of cloves or something like that. I think that's what Dejarum is.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what they were referencing in this.
No, the Dejarums. No, I don't think they were talking about that. But I do want to get into that on the other side of this break and basically talk about some of the concepts that they were bringing up with this episode, some of the main, concepts that they like to hit home with, and really, which is why I think that this episode carries more weight than other episodes that just, continue the storylines and tie in loose ends. This is a story that has almost in its own way a standalone type of message inside of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I want to get into, is what that standalone message is and why I think it distinguishes this episode from other episodes, but also puts it in a class of some of the classic episodes of Deep Space Nine that have those kinds of standalone messages, like Far Beyond the Stars and The Visitor.
Mm-hmm. Leave it to Star Trek to always have a much deeper and much more important meaning behind it. Absolutely. So we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. And everybody at home, stick around and we'll be right back on The Seventh Rule.